This is an overview of the PQ3 programmable control by Comac, which can be loaded on any of their angle roll machines. What I want to discuss basically is the layout on the control stand. The machine has an emergency stop button, which we will release. The green button here will start the hydraulic pump, and the red button there will cease that operation. So we're going to go back and kick it back on. Just to kind of give you an overview of what we have, these three buttons here control the left lateral guide on the machine. You have your radial rotation, your up and down function, which is your thrust, and your forward and backward, which is your linear. So this line of controls work the left lateral guide, and this line of controls will work the right lateral guide in the same fashion. Radial, thrust, up and down, and then you have your linear, which rolls up and down this way. This position here, this button, this is going to control the x-axis up and forward, and this is your roll rotation on the x. So this controls the left bottom, or the right bottom right roll, up, down, in rotation, up, down, and in rotation. The next button that I want to discuss, basically you'll see here you have a hand. It has two settings. One would be the manual, and then one would be an automatic, which brings this button into play. If you're in manual, then you're not in the programming capability of the PQ3. Everything is done on the control panel. In automatic mode, you have steps 1, 2, and 3. The cycle for number 1 is basically starting by pressing that button, and it's going to run it in a step-by-step fashion. At the end of every step, the execution is held until the operator starts it by pressing that button again. In step number 2, the cycle is started by pressing that button, the green button there, which is right here, and run continuously until the end of the part is programmed. So once you start it, it's going to roll all the way through the execution until the very end of the program. The third step would be basically where the cycle is started by pressing this button and is run continuously as long as that button is pressed. So if you release this button during the execution, the program will stop until you hit this button again. We also have an automatic feature. When the roll rotation is coming into a target area, you can slow the roll down by pressing this button in the manual setting. Upon switching on the machine, the main menu screen appears. Menu items are represented as buttons on the display and may be selected by tapping them with a finger or a stylus pen. The selection of the display button opens the screen displaying the current position of the axis. The selection of the program button opens the screen for management of the bending programs. The display of the current position of the axis, you want to go into the display. What you have at the top is a listing of the current positions of the Y, X, and Z axis. Below that number are your target positions of the axis in the next step of the program. Right here, X, you can always hit that to reset the X axis back to 0. P is the number of programs, and S is the number of steps in the program, and M is return to menu. Next, we want to go into the programming step, which shows you how to create and modify a program. You tap the button, the program button, the page for management of the bending programs will appear. This page displays the program number currently loaded in the working memory of the controller. In this instance, we have program number 1. You can go back in any programs up to 80 if you like. I'm going to enter that. To edit the program in the working memory of the controller, you tap the ED button, and that program will be displayed as a chart showing the target position of the axes for the next step. So you have your program number 1, Z, X, and Y axes, and then you have your steps. You have 3 steps, 1 step per position. Step 1, step 2, step 3, and you have a menu where you can go back to the menu screen, or you can page through to the next. Step 3, 4, and 5, step 5, 6, and 7, step 7, 8, and 9, and all the way through 15. So you can page through them if you like, or you can go all the way back to the very beginning. Each step, what you see is we have a preloaded position in here, and on the Z-axis you have 189. If you want to change that, let's change it to 250. You simply enter that on a touchscreen entry pad and hit enter. The same with the X. Let's do 650, enter. And then let's change this to 745. And you can do that with the steps all the way through the program. Go back to the menu, display. You want to save those positions. You can see that they're saved. Go back to the menu, display, and then you can switch over and run. In this case, we'll go to the automatic positioning. Showing the machine here, we've got the left-hand lower roll, which is your Y-axis, your right-hand lower roll, which is your Z-axis, and the top forming roll, which is your X-axis. We're in the automatic mode, step number 2, which is the automatic function of the machine. Just want to go through and show you one cycle of a pre-programmed program here. Program number 2, it's got 4 different steps. Y and the Z-axis are coming into their target positions. Y and Z are at their target, 134 and 128. And the X is rolling through at a predetermined distance. Step number 3. X, Y, and Z axes are moving simultaneously. Reached our target position, and the X and the Z rolls are moving back to reload the profile.